welcome to AR77 once again. Today we're looking at the Smith Wesson M&P M2. This is the second generation, I guess, of this particular pistol, although I'm not entirely sure of that. It's a very nice looking pistol, and it's, you know, from somebody who likes replicas, Smith & Wesson is just a brand name that I feel like you should have in your collection. It's a lovely looking gun. I've wanted a Smith & Wesson M&P for a while. I know that they released a version, Umarex released a version previously. There's a pellet version, and then there was a BB version. Then more recently they released this, which was slightly different to the previous version. The sort of dovetail at the back here, this extension bit was sort of trimmed off there. I think there was some different serrations in the front, and this is the most up-to-date version. And it's a really nice looking gun. Let's have a little bit of a walk around. So it's metal slide and plastic or polymer lower, which I believe is accurate. I believe it's accurate to the real thing. I don't think this safety is on the real thing. That's something that perhaps Umarex have put on, but it's no big deal. It doesn't get in the way. To engage that, you just literally push it forward and slide it down, and you're in safe. And then push it forward, slide it up, and you're ready to fire. While we're up here, we've got some nice Smith & Wesson markings there that are quite subtle. Caution, capable of firing with magazine removed, worth noting. You've got these marks here in terms of the caliber of the pistol and the licensing and things like that, but they're all pretty subtle, and they've made use of these little cutouts here to show the F for the, I think that's for the German market, just to show that it doesn't exceed a certain number of joules. In terms of energy, this back strap here is removable, and there are different sizes that you can exchange that. You can swap that out for different sizes. It does feel really good. It's almost like sandpaper on here. It's really good for the grip. So that's quite nice. That's a nice feature. Just turn it over. While we do, actually, let's just have a look at these sights. We've got white dot sights there, front and rear, so they make sight acquisition quite straightforward, quite easy. Yeah, you're not going to be a million miles from whatever you're shooting at anyway with these. Nice and clean on this side, no real markings, so to speak. The takedown lever there is non-functioning. You can't easily strip this gun. A lot of people like to strip the BB guns, and I'd be lying if I pretended I wasn't one of those people. Having said that, you don't really need to do it. It's just a bit of fun every now and then, but you don't really need to do it. They don't need a lot of maintenance. They don't need a lot of cleaning. As I said before, just a little bit of Pelgun oil on the top of the CO2 cylinder when you use it, when you charge it up with CO2, and that should be enough really to keep them in pretty good working order and try and keep them clear of dust, sand, etc. Feels quite nice. It feels good. This is the medium backstrap I've got on at the minute, and it feels about right for me. Yeah, that's kind of, it's cut out, but you can see sort of the inner workings there. This gun is not loaded with either CO2 or ball bearings. I'm not in the habit of showing people around when the gun's loaded. As it says at the start of the video, you know, these things aren't toys. They are dangerous, and you can cause a bit of injury with them, you know, if you're not careful. So don't treat them like toys. Be careful and try and, you know, I know you know, some people would say it's too much, but I try and follow the basic kind of gun safety rules of only pointing in the direction of something you're happy to destroy. Always assume the gun's loaded. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you're in a position where you're ready to fire, and always be aware of what's behind what you're aiming at. Make sure you've got a decent backstop for anything that you're shooting at. Let's have a look then. So we've got the magazine here. It's one of these Umarex magazines where you can see all the way through it. You can only put the CO2 in from one side. You need to just push that forward to find the Allen key kind of screw there. So you just screw that down and pop your CO2 in there, bit of pellet gun oil on the top of the cylinder, and that lines up with that. Tighten it up with the Allen key or hexagonal spanner or whatever you want to call it, and then click that back into place, and you're good to go. This slides down here. It's quite good actually. Some of these springs are really strong, and they don't really need to be, and this is quite straightforward when you just slide it down, and there's a notch off to one side. It'll just sit in there while you load the BBs in the top there, and then they'll just slide all the way down. Once you've done that, just disengage that and slide it back up. You're ready to go. Load that back into the pistol, and yeah, it will slide back. It will lock back after the final shot. Like I said before, you don't see, there's not an actual hole there. It does lock back, and then you're ready to go again. Now this is, when you cock it like that, when you cock it like that, this is it becomes kind of a single action trigger at that point. But there's still a bit of weight to it. It gets kind of there, and then there's a little click, and then it breaks. So let's just try that again. Yeah, so you come back here, then there's a click, and then it breaks. It feels like there's quite a bit of effort needed there. This is a trigger safety here, so you can see if you pull the top bit of the trigger, if you push the top bit of the trigger, it won't let you push that back, but when you press the bottom bit, you can see that bit flips up, allowing you to pull the trigger. So I believe it's a single action and double action pistol. So if you haven't cocked it, it'll be double action, and you'll have a bit more travel. You'll have to go all the way back there, and then it'll break. But if you've cocked it already, like I showed before, it'll go right back to there quite easily. Before then, a click and a break. I don't find it the most comfortable gun to shoot, if I'm honest with you. I find it a bit, people are going to call me all sorts of names now, but I find it a bit of an effort actually. It's not as smooth as I'd like it to be. I do like the look of the gun though. I really like the look of the gun. Yeah, it feels quite modern. I like the fact that it's a metal slide, although, having said that, it doesn't feel like some of the ones I've kind of used before, some of the pistols I've used before. It feels like, I don't know if what they call it, the tolerances, when this is there's a little bit of, you hear that sort of tinny noise. It's like the Umarex, I think it's the SA9 or something like that. Sounds a bit tinny. It doesn't sound like that when it shoots, so that's not the end of the world, but it just sounds a little bit, bit tinny. Whereas by comparison, if I have my again, this is unloaded, but this is the Remington 1911 TAC. I think I've got a video on this. And when you slide this back, it just sounds a little bit more satisfying. And ultimately, when you're buying something because you want it to feel like a replica, other than all that malarkey, you want it to feel kind of realistic in the hand. So that's one bugbear. But other than that, I really like this pistol. It's a really nice gun. The Smith Wesson M&P 2, then I guess version 2. Cost, I think you're looking at about 130, 140 quid for this, something like that. You're going to get a fair few magazines for your CO2, magazines worth of BBs rather for your CO2. Shoots fairly straight and accurately over kind of 10 yards. Again, I say this in every video, but I'm only shooting at paper targets. I'm just knocking down cans. It's perfectly adequate for that, and therefore feet per second, yeah, it's adequate to get it downrange. 300 feet per second, 330. I don't own a chronograph, and I'm not particularly interested in that, as long as it'll shoot them with enough power to punch a hole in a piece of paper. So I've never really measured it, but I'm sure there's other people online who have. I'm sure. I think Andy's Airgun Reviews, shout out to Andy's Airgun Reviews, I think he's got a review of this pistol, and he's really good at going into great depth about feet per second and power and things like that. Also, I'm not sure if Replica Airguns, the guy over in Canada, he does these videos as well, and he's pretty good with the chronograph. But yeah, personally, I buy them because I like the replicas. You know, it looks like the real thing to me. Not too much white writing. It feels fairly good in the hand, and apart from that kind of jangly slide, I think it's a really nice pistol. So there you go, Smith & Wesson M&P. I hope you like that. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much.